No. So you take out those spooky Halloween decorations and slasher movies for those exciting Halloween nights. If you want to play a board game, there's a classic B-movie simulator, Betrayal at House on the Hill, or of course, the terrifically app-driven Mansions of Madness. But I want to recommend something a little different here, a completely diceless RPG called Dread. This is a one-shot horror story run by a single game master that wraps up in a single night. There will be a prepared scenario, including stuff like being stalked by supernatural forces during a camping trip, to being the victims of a slasher film. In typical role-playing fashion, the game master will describe all that happens to and around the story's characters, and the players say what each of their characters do. The game ends when the story wraps up to a close, meaning that either the players have escaped, the bad guy has been slain, or, more often than not, all the players die. But don't worry when I say Game Master, because this game doesn't have any complicated dice rolling spreadsheets or leveling up mechanisms. Rather, it used something called the Tower for everything. Now this tower is what you would also call a Jenga set, and the whole pooling blocks and stacking them on top is actually the main mechanic in Dread. Whenever players need to do a challenging thing that their character wouldn't normally do, like trying to hide in a closet next to the serial killer himself, the Game Master asks them to pool from the tower. If they succeed, they do the task. If not, just like a normal Jenga, they're out. In the story of Dread, they're dead or otherwise eliminated through a complete mental breakdown, joining a cult, etc, etc, you kinda get the point. Here's a quick example of this interaction. A player says, "I know we're being stalked by something in the bushes, but I want to attempt to patch up my friend's wound before he bleeds to death." The GM would say, "Okay, but your character Joe doesn't know anything about first aid, so go ahead and pool to see if you succeed because your character is so stressed." Joe can choose to decline the pool, but then he would just watch his friend bleed out before his very eyes. So he goes ahead and pools from the tower. This follows typical Jenga rules to use one hand and stack the block on top afterwards. If the tower is still standing after, the check is complete, and the GM would say something like, "Despite not really knowing what you're doing, your adrenaline fuels you as you rip off a piece of your t-shirt and tightly wrap it around the wound. There is a rustle and a growl in the bushes, but for now, you are safe." But if the player fumbles and the tower comes teetering down as he's making the pool, his character, Joe, is dead. The GM could say, "You panic, hunched over, your friend on the floor, blood soaking his entire abdomen. Whatever is in the bushes makes a fearsome hell, fueled by the scent of blood in the air. You have little to no time to react as hundreds of pounds of muscle jump on you, smashing your head to a pulp within seconds. Your friend, the guide Fred, moans out in pain as the monstrosity drags his weakened body into the night." Yep, other examples of players dying are you suddenly slip on the barren wasteland ice, just falling and screaming for minutes before you succumb to your inevitable death. Of course, if there's no way to kill your character off at the time of this falling, the GM can delay your death and then choose to kill you off in any other moment in the story. So if you've ever played Jenga, you of course know how tense stacking this wooden tower is. But now, imagine putting the weight of an entire story onto pulling out these blocks, where as the story gets saucier and saucier, the tower gets higher and more wobbly. Players will literally see their chances of survival get more and more bleak in front of their eyes, and the Game Master is grinning at how naturally the tension is building in the story. And then, in those climactic slasher moments, the tower comes down, people jump in their seats, and then the tower resets to become another ticking time bomb. So to begin playing Dread, the host of this Halloween night will pick one of the multiple simple scenarios to prepare. These are all going to be really easy for your friends to hop into, because instead of speccing a full-blown dude in many role-playing games, all your friends have to do is fill out this short questionnaire. Your friends will be answering loaded questions like, "Why can't you stand smart people?" Or, "What do you say to calm yourself when you feel a seizure coming?" The players can answer in any way they want, using words to flesh out their character's capabilities and shortcomings. players may start distrusting each other quickly when they find out that players have some secret motivations hidden in their questionnaire player sheet. Of course, the game master will have to take a look at these questionnaires before the game starts. Oh, and another message for the players: don't get too attached to your characters because almost everyone is expected to die before the night is up, especially if you guys split up. So going back to the game master's responsibilities, he really doesn't have to do much preparation, with each scenario's information being only a couple pages long. You'll find that everyone's unique characters combined with sufficiently fleshed out settings allows the mystery to seep through the night. If you don't have any prior experience to being a game master, Dread is a pretty good place to start. There's no tricky combat mechanisms because the game is so simple, and all of these things regarding combat or action, you can just make it up on the spot. In general, the game is so freeform that a lot of things are very hand-wavy. Just keep the horror story going. You can have players fill out and send back to you the questionnaires a couple nights before playing, giving you even more time to prepare your adventure. And you know what? Don't worry if your first game doesn't do too well because, this type of thing is a learning experience for everyone, and your friends will definitely give you some pointers to help you out for your next time around. But the coolest thing about Dread is that you can start playing right away for free, as long as you own a tower, a Jenga tower, you probably do. There is an inexpensive rulebook that exists, but Dread is simple in nature that you can definitely play it without reading that. I actually didn't know about this until lately, but you can actually find Dread scenarios online for free on this website. I haven't played the ones on this site yet, but from a quick glance, they look super exciting. Like, look at this one, it's about being stuck at a creepy carnival. Do you need the 100-page rulebook? Well, it's super in-depth, including how to create your own scenario, and unless you're super duper uncomfortable GMing, I suggest just reading a scenario that's online for free and just following these quick pointers. More nuanced stuff can come later. If you do decide to get it, the rulebook will help with some game master stuff, like encouraging everyone to be contributing to the story and not letting humor overtake the spooky mood. There's also some advice on how to add more tower interactions, like requiring multiple pools for a really difficult task, or having a character sacrifice themselves to accomplish a mission, killing themselves as they voluntarily smash the tower. So I've run Dread with all sorts of groups, from seasoned board gamers to people who wouldn't ever think of playing D&D. I don't think of myself as a perfect GM, and definitely struggled with the scenarios with the spaceship and also the serial killer. But when I talked to my friends afterwards, they all loved Dread. Everyone was thrust as characters into their own movie, which is such a gripping experience whether or not they lived in the game. To guarantee a spooky night, I always set the mood before we play, setting the lights way down low and getting that creepy ambience music playing. I did that in a college dorm room once in my first year, and my favorite scenario, 13, didn't let me down as it was a complete hit. So with all of these things for Dread being said, it does say in the official rulebook that Dread should make you feel uncomfortable from time to time, where alienation, tension, anxiety, fear, and more similar emotions will come up. This is likely perfect for those who like this type of rush from a spooky activity, and remember, the goal of Dread is to have fun and tell an amazing story together. I remember my friend telling me that after the game, he was walking to his car around midnight on a moonless night in this pitch black hallway and was completely freaked out. Scenarios I'm excited to run in the future include a group of tourists having their plane crash in the Alaskan wilderness, a futuristic hospital run by machines, and players attempting to escape a blood cult. So, Dread. Pulling from the tower is fun, killing characters is fun, and telling an amazing story together is the most fun of all. So remember guys, you can play this game for free. Just look up Dread RPG online and you can find a ton of resources. As always, we have our amazing Patreons to thank. We have John S, Manuel G, Brian C, Clifford H, Aaron W, Max B, Bora, Jeremy M, C, Marius M, Charlie P, Quinton S, Sam S, Travis R, Alvin Y, and Vom CK. And we got our two Mad Lads at Cardboard. We got ZL and Jeff L. Other than Dread, let me know what type of Halloween games you love to play during this spooky time of year. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.